stop getting your law school admissions information from Reddit and start talking to the deans of law schools. We're about to go over why you should reach out, when you should reach out, what not to do when you reach out, and most importantly, how you can reach out and speak directly to law school admissions deans. This video was requested by Heffa-esque. I'm guessing it's like Boss Esquire. Thank you so much for leaving this comment and requesting this video. For those who don't know me, my name is Whitney. I am a non-traditional single mother law school applicant. On this channel, I share everything that I've learned through the law school admissions process as I go through it. And I share this content because I want to see more first generation, non-traditional, maybe older, marginalized community people going to law school, top law schools, with as minimal debt as possible. I also take you along my experience with me as I go through this process in real time, and I plan to continue vlogging through and after law school. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, feel free to go ahead and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and it would really help out my channel. But let's get into it. Aside from people on Reddit just straight up lying, you should be getting your information straight from law school admissions deans. I promise it is not as difficult or as intimidating as it might seem. It gives you a chance to build a personal relationship, connection with them. You'll hear so many times that they say that your application is the only introduction that they have to you, and they don't get a chance to interview you most of the time. But if you do these things and you take the opportunity to speak with them, you actually do get that extra chance for them to actually be able to put the face to the application. They do actually remember you. I'll get into some stories about that in a little bit. It'll also give you insight on the school's cultures, what they specifically care about. Every school is not the same. Different schools in the T14 are not the same. Some care about different things and value different things a little bit more than others. And so talking to the deans, you can find out directly from what they say, but reading between the lines of what they say will actually tell you a lot about the law school and help you tailor your application to that school. You don't have to do this for every school, but I recommend taking the time to really get to know the law school, like your top 3 schools that you really want to go to. I'm guilty of having been on Reddit. Some of you may have found my videos from Reddit because I was sharing them there when I first started posting on this channel. But I feel like the whole trajectory of me applying to law school changed from the first interaction that I had with Dean Deal from Stanford. Hey, Dean Deal, if you happen to see this. I first spoke with her at the Breaking Barriers virtual law school admission. Love them. That is the consulting company that I use to help me with my application essays. I will put a link to them in the description box, and you'll be hearing more information about them in later videos. I can promise you that. But I dropped in on like a group Zoom in the virtual law fair, and Dean Deal was just so easy to speak to, and not many people actually raised their hand in the Zoom and asked any questions. So I had an opportunity to ask her all the questions that I want, and it kind of felt like I was just having a one-on-one conversation with her. And one that put me so much at ease, and I truly believe that meeting and speaking with Dean Deal, even just virtually, completely changed the trajectory of me going to law school, because she gave me the confidence, whether she knows it or not, to apply to T14, and not just T14, top 5 law schools with full confidence. After that Zoom, I started attending all of her other Zooms. I'm jumping It's ADHD. I'm just talking. I'm jumping ahead. I had a plan. I had bullet points. I had an outline. But we're just going to go with it, okay? So what I did after that was Stanford Law website. If you go to, I think like visit the school. If you go under like wherever on the website, it is to visit the school, not just Stanford, most law schools. Listen, if you want to be an attorney, you got to be able to find information, okay? So they will have virtual Zooms. Harvard has Zooms for you to be able to meet, talk to students from different backgrounds, Black students, HBCU students, community college students, students with disabilities. University of Pennsylvania, I attended their Zoom with the BOLSA students and the Tolpic public interest students and dean. Most, at least top law schools, will have virtual Zoom sessions. Almost all of the time there will be some specifically with the dean. Dean Deal from Stanford and Dean Perry from University of Chicago. They do some together, which is like deep dive into admissions or dive into admissions with the deans, something like that. They do it together. It's on the Stanford websites. But I attended that first Zoom session at the law school fair. And then when I attended the specific Stanford one, Dean Deal was like, I've seen you before. Like, I remember you from somewhere. And sure enough, she had remembered me from the previous Zoom. So don't think that they won't remember you. They will, for better or for worse. You're making a first impression. They may not remember your name. They may not remember, but they will remember you. The more you attend them and talk to them, the better they can get to know you, give you some personalized tips for your application, and really help you tailor your application. I can't tell you how many times I heard other people ask questions in these Zooms that got answers that I wouldn't have ever have thought to ask, but the answers were extremely helpful. Like, what order do you read the applications in? Like, do you read the essays first? Do you look at the transcripts first? Do you read the resume first? Like, that was really helpful information that I didn't think to ask. But it helped me kind of get an idea of like, okay, well, if the addendum is the last thing that they read, then that is important to not leave a bad taste in their mouth, because once they read that, that's it. You don't want everything to be going great and then you get to the addendum and crash out. That's another conversation. But I learned so many details. When I attended these Zooms, I had a running Google Doc for each school, and I would take notes and also write down the questions that I had. It's good to prepare questions ahead of time. Like I said, this is your first impression. They will remember you. Do not ask something you could just find on the website. It makes you look unprepared. It makes you look unserious. Do not ask a question that contradicts the answer they gave somebody else about something else, or that just makes it seem like you weren't listening. Again, like, one of the most important things with your application and in law school in general is going to be paying attention to detail and comprehension. So if you're asking a question that it's like, why? Anyways, moving on. You don't have to necessarily like research because you need to know it all, but you just don't want to ask basic questions that you can find on the website. Even if they don't look at that as a bad question, you don't want to waste that opportunity with things that you can find out on your own. This is your opportunity to get all of the specific school-specific details that nobody else can give you, that you can't find from Google, from YouTube, from Reddit. Use this time strategically and really ask the things that you need to know. That being said, when should you initiate contact with law school admissions deans? So Stanford actually started doing Zooms during the summer. That's when I started joining them. But I noticed that a lot of schools don't start doing these Zoom sessions until applications open. And what that means is that if you're waiting and if you're not attending these Zooms until November, your application should be like in or almost done. You should be getting this information, ideally in a perfect world, ahead of time. If you're planning on attending law school or applying to law school in the future, like you plan on applying next cycle, I would start looking at the law school admissions websites now and start attending those Zooms now so you can get that information before the next cycle starts, because they don't usually offer these Zooms until the cycle starts. And it's like you kind of already want to have the information before then so you could have been planning your application and ready to turn it in early. Another way that you can meet law school admissions deans is by attending law school fairs. So like I had mentioned before, Barrier Breakers has a virtual law school fair that they hold during the summer, and I will link that in the description box, or I'll link their website in the description box. There are physical law school fairs, so I attended one in Philadelphia by chance. I was visiting the UPenn campus, and Ileana from Diversity and Inclusion, shout out to Ileana, I love her, she's amazing. She's amazing. She had told me that there was a law school fair happening at Drexel across the street in a few hours. And so I just looked up that there was one happening in time, and I had while I was there, and that I had time to attend it. So when I was there, I got to meet Dean Z from University of Michigan. Finally got to meet her in person. I love her. Even if I don't go to University of Chicago, Dean Z is she just pours so much information into her YouTube channel, and I learned so much about admissions directly from her through her content. So that is another way that you can get information directly from the dean, is by seeing if there's any YouTube content of them talking about admissions. Might not be an entire channel like Dean Z, but some of these like consulting companies will have like Zoom interviews with law school admissions deans, previous deans, etc. Georgetown's admissions dean has done several interviews that you can find on YouTube that will just give you like a little bit of insight about what that school cares about the most. I mean, there are obviously going to be some things that all law schools care about, but some care about certain characteristics more than others. Stanford is a very small school with a very small class. They admit like 180 or less students per year, and they put students into a cohort of 30, and your classes aren't bigger than 60. Your biggest class doesn't have more than 60 students. So what does that tell me? That they really care about what type of classmate you're going to be. They want to know, are you able to get along with people who have differing opinions? They care about that a little bit more, a lot more, than a school that has a huge class like Georgetown, or a huge class like Harvard, where you may not ever get to really know all of your classmates. At Stanford, Dean Deal stressed many times, they're very close. They know each other very well. It is a very small, tight-knit community. So you might not get into Stanford not because your GPA or your LSAT wasn't good enough, but because you just didn't seem like the type of person that can get along with everybody, or at least be cordial, that can be pleasant. You know, they're really cultivating and curating a class every year. And so these are things that you get to know from talking to the deans and just hearing a little bit about what they specifically value. Some schools care more about your plans after law school than others. Some care more about you right now. What are your goals right now in school? You know, so these are the things that I have found out from talking to different deans. And it's not just T14 schools that do this. There are other schools that do these types of Zooms. But again, most of them don't start until the admissions cycle is open. And personally, I knew I wanted to apply as early in the cycle as possible. My best advice is, if you are able to plan ahead, like you're not applying this cycle, start attending those Zooms now so that you can have that information to work on your applications over the summer, so that you can be ready as soon as the cycle opens. I think I've said enough about this. I don't want to drag it on too long. Per usual, if you have any topic requests, video requests, or questions, drop them for me in the comments. I always respond. I have a long list of requests for videos. Thank you so much for all of the engagement. I'm working my way through it and working on posting more often. If you haven't already, please like this video. Send it to somebody who you know is applying to law school or thinking about applying to law school. Subscribe if you haven't already. Comment anything. Just comment hi, comment algorithm, comment law school, comment whatever, just so that it can help boost this video. I would appreciate it so much, and it helps this content find other people like yourself who could use it. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.